What's happening, chess fans? Welcome to Net Chess and Chill. Today, I filmed a video and my audio is scuffed, so I will be talking over top of the video, and we can watch and enjoy this together. So, this is usually when I cue some music and we ask who we're going to play today. Ask the chess gods. So, I got the black pieces, my opponent got the white pieces, and we go for a Caro Kann. So c6 and d5 coming soon to own on video and DVD. So we go for d5, and normally my opponents take here. Sometimes they push e5, and when they do that, I like to play the move c5. Just kind of saying, don't play that move. My opponent does just immediately play d4. So in this position, I was debating whether I should pin the knight, bring my knight out to c6, typical developing moves. I could, I didn't really know. I was worried about his bishop coming down to b5 to give my knight the pin, so I decided to go for a pin first myself, which is, after a little deliberation, I will choose to play bishop to g4. Pinning their knight. Something I need to do in these scenarios is not spend so much time on just some simple moves. I don't think either move is a bad move. Here I will be taking the knight. They take back on f3 with their queen, and I just tighten up everything with c6. c6 often is not the best move in this position, but I think in this case it's not a bad move because I'm opening my bishop up, and I do not get to develop my king side early when they play the advanced. So this is transposed into basically the advanced. I get my knight out to c6 usually in this position. I believe in this game I do the exact same thing. I get my knight out, and then I usually take on d4 with my pawn, just to open up the center a bit. Well, to break his pawn chain that he's kind of building. I think it's just a good idea to take that. Another good move here is to actually play queen to d5, pinning that pawn on c3, which I didn't see, and I missed that a lot of times in my games. But I think that that's not a bad move either. This allows me to put pressure on the d4 pawn here with a couple knight moves. Also, depending on what he plays, I can get my queen out. So this immediately I saw, oh, it's a pawn in the middle of the board. d4, knight takes d4. We can take that. It is a free pawn, and I take it because we like pawns in the Caro Kann. It is a pawn grabbing opening. So I felt really comfortable here. I felt like that was a big mistake by him. I think his knight should have definitely gone to c3. I don't know why he brought it in there. It also just stopped his bishop from developing. Now this is where I have a little bit of trouble. I'm just trying to debate whether I should bring my knight back and put pressure on the c5 pawn, or what I should do. I could also just take the knight as another move. This is stupid because I literally am not understanding that my knight is double attacked by the queen and the knight on f3. So I need to either move my knight back or I need to take. But defending the knight is not a response because it is attacked twice and only defended once. So this was a big mistake by me. Like, crap. I mean, typical me. I do miss things like this often. So you guys would say, do some puzzles, do this, do that. I mean, it's easy enough to say, but I mean, I'm on my own journey, so I work as hard as I can at it. I don't have all the time in the world to study chess, and I would like to spend more time studying, but it's just hard for me. It's not the easiest thing in the world. I think it's easy to tell somebody how to do something, but this was a good move that I saw. I saw bishop to b4, attacking the king. If he actually brings his bishop back, we have... I mean, I didn't really know what to do. I thought, oh, I could take the knight. I think there is some tactics here. And, I mean, I'd lose the bishop there. I was basically trying to calculate how this would all go down. I spent a little bit too much time doing so, and I just ended up taking the pawn on c5. But I did See, and I still think that bishop to b4 is not a bad attack. Um, my king is still not castled. His pieces are just not developed, and so I feel like I have quite a good position here. Um, that just seemed like a one mover to me. So I get the knight over to c4, and I thought this is a good square, but he can just kick out my knight. So I was trying to figure out what I would play if he does. I think bringing my knight back to b6 is a little passive, but it works. I could also just bring my knight back to d6, and we could just trade. I didn't really want to trade here, right, because I'm down a piece, so I wasn't really like looking to trade. The reason I'm down a piece is because I blundered kind of in a silly way, but my opponent is still not playing what I would consider like great chess. So my knight is actually under attack by the bishop here. Like, he could have just taken like that. You know, his knight is defended. I would have had to take with the pawn, right? So he could have done that. He just chose not to. So I figured that this was a good time to actually play bishop b4. If he brings his bishop back, I actually can just take the bishop. So he has to move his king because he can't block with any other piece. So I thought this was a pretty decent shot here. He moves his king, blocking the bishop, bishop's sight. So I thought, okay, this is a good moment right here. I think queen to f6 would have been a good move, straight up. It would have been at least a decent attempt at trying to put pressure on my opponent. I don't think that. I mean, I guess moving the knight is gotta happen because it is under attack. So probably knight to d6 is a better way to go about it, so I can just trade off that dark squared bishop. I've already made sure he can't castle, and he's still like just is gonna have trouble developing his pieces. I'm one move from castling, so I don't think that this was the best move by me. You'll see in the game, my knight kind of sits over there indefinitely for like the rest of the game. I mean, it provides a little bit of a defensive role, but it ends up not being, in my opinion, a very good move by me long term. So I think that trading off that dark squared bishop, or rerouting my knight to d6 to do that, would have been a good idea. Now this was a wild move to me. My opponent played some crazy chess, and in these games I typically get out of my opening quick and I don't know what to play. Now what's worse here is I start spending a lot of time, and so I end up getting really far down on the clock after a few moves, and it really affects my overall play. Increment, that's why I play with increment, because I would lose every game on time if I didn't, because I do spend a little bit of time on these moves. He starts playing quite fast here, so his moves seem to have threats and mine seem to just not face him at all. So in this position, I'm wondering, I'm like, that can't be a good move. You're still not developing other pieces. Your king is in the center of the board. This looks so bad. And so I was wondering about queen to g5 maybe. Like, I thought maybe that was a decent throw at it. I also thought that bringing a rook to the open file, rook to c8 would just be a really decent way to go about this. But also just attacking the bishop was not a bad move and ended up being what I went with. The bishop has to move, and then I have a fork on the next move because he chose to move his bishop there. So we end up getting our piece back that we were down. I think his best move is to probably take the pawn, but maybe not. So he does that, trying to set up queen shenanigans, which I mean, I have trouble defending a lot of the times, but I'm not too worried about this. I was thinking about it, but I was like, I think just taking the knight's got to be the best move. Of course, we won't be getting ourselves checkmated because we're going to defend with either a rook move or a queen move to defend that pawn. So yeah, he's threatening checkmate in 1, but we can just simply play queen to e7 is probably our best bet. I think rook f7 is what I end up going with, because I don't know why I chose that. I think queen e7, queen e7 I think is by far the best move, connecting my rooks. My queen then defends my bishop. Everything is just defended, and I'm threatening more things still. So I think that would have been a great attempt at it. And also, I have a move like bishop to c3 in my future if I want to defend that pawn. Yeah, so he brings his light squared bishop out, which is okay. He's got his rooks connected. I felt like he had to feel pretty vulnerable in this moment, and I was wondering if I should push my pawn now that my rook is not under attack by the bishop, or like I didn't really know what I should do to advance. And I'm wasting a lot of time, if you've noticed, on these moves, because he's like not really attacking me right now, but he's got like his pieces in uncomfortable places for me. Like I'm not appreciating how his pieces are set up right now. I think putting my bishop on c3 would have been a fine move here. It looks like a good move. I think that I actually just went to kind of kick his queen about a bit, and it ended up not being the right answer. Sliding my king over to h8 is a great move, because it puts pressure back on the bishop, but I don't know if in this position it was the best move. I mean, maybe it was. He ends up bringing his bishop. Like, he's playing pretty fast now, so you'll notice that like I start losing all my time. And he just brings his bishop back. Like, you see how fast he played it. It wasn't even much of a thought for him, right? He was like, okay, this doesn't work anymore, move the bishop. And he's like, we can trade. And I think that I should have just taken his bishop here. That would have been fine. Like, the bishop is stupid. This ended up being kind of a weird way to go about it, because I was like, oh, I'll put pressure on the rook, he's gonna take me, then I take with the pawn, and when he takes with his king, I'm going to give a check. I didn't know whether to do with my queen or my rook. I think that doing it with the rook is the better move. However, in this position, I believe that I played queen to c7. Nope. Let's see. Yeah, I think I did play queen c7. Yeah, and if you notice, my pieces, I'm going for these checks, and my pieces are starting to get kind of, like, I have a rook on f7. That rook doesn't need to be there. If I had just defended in the first place with my queen to e7, my rooks would still be connected right now, and I would feel safer on the back rank. I slowly start to lose this composure, basically, and it's not a good way to go about things. So I bring the queen over to e5, or I'm definitely thinking about it. I think a rook move over to e8 is not a bad move. I also think that even just doing a simple move like rook f8 again is not a bad attempt. So the rook move over to e8 ended up being what I play. I felt like it was not a terrible idea. I also felt like my opponent's king's in the center of the board, and I should be able to finish somebody like this. But if you notice, again, I'll bring your attention to the clock. I am down to 3 minutes and 20 seconds and counting now. My opponent has almost 7 minutes, and he's playing almost every move within 10 seconds, 5 seconds. You know, he's playing very quickly, and I'm slowly losing on time. And that was an easy move to see, right? Like, I knew that he was going to bring a rook over. I thought, okay, I can attack this bishop, but actually, really, I cannot take that bishop right now, because I would have to slide my rook over to f7 to really solidify what I'm trying to do right now. It's just his king is a defender, so when the king is defending, you got to take it into account. Now I can't do that. He's attacking my rook. I play a move like rook to d7, which is definitely not the best way to go about what I just did. I think that playing a move yeah, I know that I end up getting into like, I'm not in too much trouble here or anything, but the computer thinks that e8 is a bit of an inaccuracy. Rook to e8. Excuse me, rook to d8. I don't know why I said e8. My apologies. So in this position, I found this great move defended by my rook that attacks their rook, and I don't follow up on this correctly, but you can see the idea is I'm putting pressure on their rook, and the bishop is hanging. So it ended up being a pretty nice little spot by me. This was a tactic that I did see, right? I missed so many, but I do see some of them, and the puzzles do help see them. But I saw this and I was like, all right, this has got to be good. The problem is that I have trouble following up with these tactics. Like I see the tactic, and if they end up, sometimes there's a way to almost throw another tactic at me in a position where there are tactics, and I stop calculating correctly is my problem. So taking the bishop is the best move. So we take on b5 with the queen. Okay, so giving the check on b4 is okay. I'm noticing that I'm down on time too by about 2.5 minutes. My opponent's playing instantly. All his moves are just so simple for him. For some reason, that's just the bane. If you want to beat me at chess, play me quickly, and I will just lose every game. I knew I needed to give another check. I just didn't know how I should give another check. That one seemed all right. I think it's not a bad move. It's just none of my pieces are connected correctly right now, and I don't have any more checks, right? So my king is in the corner. My back rank has potential to get a little soft because he's going to double up his rooks, right? Like, I can guarantee you the fact that I can't give another check right now or take another piece of material, his very next move is double up the rooks. Like, and you can see why. It's not a bad plan. He's trying to win that pawn. If I doubled my rooks, he can't do it, right? He can't ever take that pawn, but that's his plan. And he'll play slow moves until then. He's basically just got to outplay me. He's got 3 more minutes than I do on the clock, so he's going to double up his rooks, I believe, in this position. He's going to play rook to d1. He might play a simple... Yeah, he plays g3 first, and the whole thing is because he realizes that I'm doubled up on there and he can't actually take there. The other thing is if I do find a check, he can back his king into a safer square like g2, and he's also just pushing pawns, right? So I decided to make my rook a little bit more advantageous to me by moving it up so I can maybe reroute my knight. However, this is a great opportunity for him to double up the rooks, because now I can't reroute the knight that way. And for some reason, he just knew that, which is crazy, but he knew that I wanted to do that. So I can't take a pawn. I can't do anything in this position. The one thing that I'm seeing is that I can attack the queen with h5. I don't think that was a better move than me playing... If I played rook g5, I think that maybe... Or that's a better attempt at what I was trying to do. But, again, the pawn is just becoming a lost cause at that point. But I didn't really know what to do. So the problem with pawn to h5 is that the queen just comes down into g6. And, again... the time, I'm down almost 4 minutes now, and that will be the deciding factor in these games for me. Is if I'm down this much time, it doesn't matter how much material I'm up or how well I've been playing, I will lose the game unless my moves just become easy for some reason. So I want to trade pieces down so that it does become a little easier for me, but I don't want to trade down knowing that he's got these... You know, the pawn material's even right now, right? I could almost give up that pawn in the center and still win because I'm up so much material. But like I said, when the clock, like I'm under a minute now. Opponent's up 4 minutes on me, and he's just gonna move the queen. Queen's attacked, move queen. Simple move. He just comes into my fort a little bit farther in. And I'm like, all right, maybe I can trap the queen. Bring the rook over. Doesn't trap the queen. The queen can just go to f7. And now my pieces are like not together at all. Like this was a bad idea by me. I brought my queen down. This is still not a great idea by me. Just worried about this queen, and more so I'm worried, like I notice the time. I notice how far down I am on time, and I know that he's just going to play moves that slowly take all my things. And so, nervous right here, I just give a check with the king to the king. Not a good move. He's going to move king g2 and just be comfy. Like, I have nothing here, right? I stupidly bring my queen forward. This is becoming a little bit of a lost cause because the pawn on d4 is just hanging, and I have a big back rank problem. My king can get away, but he can infiltrate right now if he wants to. I guess now he can't because my queen defends the pawn, but he had it before he decided he wanted that pawn. He could have actually just taken. Yeah, so he can't take the pawn, but now he can actually because I can't take the rook. So yeah, you see I'm making mistakes now that I made a lot of mistakes this game, don't get me wrong, but I'm starting to make very frequent ones, and my everything is hanging. My knight's hanging if I move, like, you know, I'm noticing now that he can just take that pawn, right, and my queen is stacked on top of my rook, and this is not good. So now he takes, that'd be what I played, is rook takes. He plays queen takes. There's nothing I can do right here. I'm in some trouble. I need to take the queen. However, if I take the queen, I have my knight pinned, and there's no way to get out of it. So really, I need to move the knight. But then I just lose a rook. So it ended up being a really rough position for me. I think knight b6 would have been a fine way to go about that. Kind of adding another defender. I think that might have been fine, actually. I think I just missed that entirely. Knight b6. Now, this ends up being just kind of a lost endgame for me. My opponent just pushes his pawns, and I have zero way to stop them. I do take a pawn with check. He kind of allows me to take these. And I just have no way to stop his other pawns from promoting, which sucks because I wanted to, but I didn't know what to do here. Moving my king that way was probably one of my first mistakes. I probably should have ran my king over there. I don't think I can make it, but I could have. I think it would have been a better shot than what I was doing. So yeah, you can see I'm pretty uncomfortable here, and this is completely winning for white. There is zero chance of me not having to sacrifice my rook early and him still getting a queen out of this. Like, my king is on the wrong side of the board, basically. I should have ignored whatever I was trying to do with my king. I should have just, wrong idea. King should have been over there already. And I might have been there almost in time. It would have been close, at least. So here is just the problem. I end up trading a pawn, but this is a doesn't matter situation for me. I mean, I'm realizing that I have nothing. He's up over 4 minutes on the clock, 4.5 minutes on the clock on me. yeah, I don't have much going on here. I sacrifice the rook. Yeah, he takes with his rook. And there's nothing to be done here for me. I move the king forward, just trying, but I got nothing. I was going to get checkmated from behind regardless, but he ended up, I pushed the pawn, he saw it, took it, and I resigned here. So, tough game. We'll get into the game review. I think, I don't review this, but so long, but we go into a little bit of it. So, played with low accuracy. I think it was a 60%, let's see, 62.8% on my end and 69 on his end. So I had 2 blunders, 2 misses, 4 mistakes, 10 inaccuracies. So very rough game. You should see the bar. It is up, down, up, down, up, down, and it is super colorful. Looks like a Christmas tree. Beginning of the game, though, my opening was solid, boy. Solid. We are solid. Looking good. Nothing wrong with this. Nothing at all. Now, tons wrong with his opening, but it's whatever. So bringing the queen out would have been a fantastic move. I'm putting pressure on that. He's got no pieces developed. It also stops his bishop from coming in to pin my knight, which was something I was worried about, because in the advanced Caro, I have slow development on my king side. This was straight up my first big inaccuracy, right? I needed to just take the knight. But, yeah, defense of the knight was not an option. I was already being attacked twice, and I had no defenders of my knight, so I could not defend with a knight. That was a problem. This ended up being a good sequence. It made the king move. I didn't really know how to follow it up here, so I ended up just deciding to drop my knight back, which was not the best way to go about it. Definitely a mistake. Bringing my knight back, like I said, to d6 was a far better move. Getting rid of that bishop, or at least rerouting my knight. Bringing the queen up to f6 again was better than castling. My king is 1 move away from castling, so we could have kind of waited a little bit on that. Also would have stopped him from doing whatever he's trying to do right here. However, this did eventually get me my piece back, so I played f6 in this position, kicking out the bishop, which was a miss because I had my knight could have just come back in, and yeah, it would have been pretty decisive here. I could have taken the bishop. I took the knight. The knight is a better go because that would have come with check. I defended with my rook, but queen to e7, like I said, was just the best move. Defends everything, defends my bishop from afar, and connects my rooks. This is a way better way to go about it, and I wouldn't have had that awkward-ass rook on f7, which it ended up being very awkward. Did not do me much. So, funny enough, this is a great sacrifice here. I didn't really see why, but there is an attack right here. This would have been a brilliant move. I didn't see it though, obviously in the game, and I didn't see it even during the review. If you guys want to check that out more in depth, go ahead. I went for this trade like this, which is definitely not the way to do it. Even taking the bishop would have been a better way, I think, than what I did. But we're good here. We're winning. Nothing is wrong. I slide the rook over to d8, which is still not the best move. I think I told you guys this, but it set up this. My opponent gave me the bishop, so we're back up our piece here. Yeah, so basically my opponent blundered 2 pieces, and I still lost this game. So the pawn move ended up not being a good idea, like I said, and I'm so down on time that I'm getting my teeth kicked in here, and it's just, yeah, I could have defended my knight this way as opposed to trying to reroute my knight. The queen's just over there in La La Land and kind of has nothing to do, and yeah, they could have taken the pawn, but I could have at least exchanged a pair of rooks, and I think I would have had a better endgame than what I did have. So this ended up fizzling out to a pretty tough way to lose, and yeah. I played like an 850, and my opponent played like a 1000. My opening was straight up almost 99% perfect, and then we just kind of got worse from there. So I need to work on playing better under time pressure. That is a huge thing. I think the clock destroyed me in this game, and it made me play into a very losing game eventually, even though I had plenty of opportunity to win. So, thank you guys for watching. Sorry about the audio again, and yeah, I will catch you guys tomorrow.